watching YouTube. My name is Will, and this is my 2003 Evo 8. Okay, I'm lying. This actually isn't a 2003 Evo 8. If you're familiar with my channel, you know this is actually my 2005 Evo 8 RS. Now, if you're familiar with Evos, there's probably something you can see in the footage right now that would be a dead giveaway that this actually wasn't a 2003 Evo 8. However, for most normal people, they're not going to notice that. And frankly, even some Evo people may not even notice that right away. Sure, if they thought about it, obviously. But it's one of the few giveaways that you can't alter or hide, really. And that is the fact that I have this little indicator right here that dictates whether or not I'm in tarmac, gravel, or snow, that controls the ACD, the active center differential. The 2003 Evo 8s do not have this option. So aside from peeking in the window, how would you know that this is a 2005 or a 2004 or a 2003? Well, that's kind of what this video series is going to be about. Alright, so the point of this video, and really this video series, I'm calling Evo for Dummies, creative I know, isn't so that you can pick out the minor differences when you see them go down the road. The point of these videos is to be a very detailed, accurate description of what each model year was. So detailing the differences between the 2003s, the 2004s, the 2005s, 6, and so on. Naturally, we're going to start with 2003. So I don't know exactly how many video series we're going to have, but this is going to go on for several videos. They may not go in order as in like every single day, but this is mostly going to be what you're going to see from me over the next couple weeks. So the Evo behind me is mine. As I mentioned before, it's my 05 Evo 8 RS. I've got a couple small changes. My wheels, the vortex generators, which are these up here, and my bumper is different, and my badging is different. And that's what happens with a lot of Evos. They get altered. So it can be really difficult to know what's accurate, what the car was supposed to have. Again, anybody can look at the VINs and figure out what year it is. This is really meant for the small details. So if you're the type that likes to read the manuals and read all the nitty-gritty details, these videos are really going to be for you. It's so that if you end up picking up an Evo of a particular year, you know what it should have originally, what it may or may not be missing, which can help you in the buying process, or it can help you after buying if you want to get it more to the original spec. The good thing is, the 03 Evos were very simple. The bad thing is, it's been 15 years, so details can be a little bit murky at times. In these videos, I don't want to use sources like Wikipedia. I don't really want to use sources like forums, unless on the forum they're like uploading like PDFs or, you know, some sort of documents that have sources. It's kind of like, think back to your school days and you had to write a paper. You had to cite your sources. You can't just randomly make stuff up, and you got to actually check into the facts. And that's what I want these videos to be. What I've already realized though, with 2003 being the easiest year, is that it's gonna be very difficult. So what I intend to do is to pin the first comment for every video that you guys can respond to. One, if I get something wrong, definitely respond that, so that way I can make an amendment. Two, if I leave something out, you know, maybe I leave a color out or an option out or something, I don't know. Just help me keep them as factual as possible. Also, from my part, I'm going to try to minimize opinions. Again, it's really just meant to be facts. If you want to see videos where I tell you which Evo I believe is better or which one you should buy for different reasons, I've got tons of videos going over that stuff. So you can check those out later. As I mentioned, 2003 is the simplest. The reason for that is, being the first year in the US, Mitsubishi kind of did a rush job. So while the Evos have 10 generations, Mitsubishi tended to make major overhauls every third year. So you have the Evo 1, and then on the Evo 4, they have a major overhaul, and the Evo 7 and the Evo 10. When Mitsubishi overhauled the Evo for the Evo 7, there was no intent of bringing it to the US market. So when Mitsubishi decided to bring the Evo 8 to the US, it was kind of a rush job. And what typically happens with rush jobs is things get overlooked. Things get forgotten. Granted, it was intentional for Mitsubishi's part, but nonetheless. These videos, like I said, they're not going to be, I'm not going to discuss the differences between the US and JDM versions. I do that a little bit in a previous video, and I'll do that in a future video, but I just want to focus on what was available for the US. But I feel like for the 03 especially, I gotta mention this for it to kind of make sense. So the US Evo 8s came without active yaw control and ACD, which is the thing I was showing you on my dash. It has to do with the all-wheel drive system. Now, they're still all-wheel drive. They're still all 4 doors, and they're all still 5-speed manuals. That's all we got in the US. In other markets, there were 6 speeds and options available. Mitsubishi, it was very simple for that first model year. What we ended up getting in the US was essentially 2 options and a few color choices. We had silver, black, white, yellow, and blue. As for options that you could choose, you had 2. One of them was back here. Now, mine being an RS that comes later on, I don't have a wing. Generally speaking, all Evos have wings. Now, in other markets, to the best of my knowledge, they all have the high wing, which I'll insert a photo so you guys can see this. In the US though, there was an option for a small wing, kind of like a Lancer OZ Rally wing. Now, to be honest, I had heard this for years, that this smaller wing was technically standard and the high wing was an option, supposedly around $480. I have yet to find actual proof that any cars came with the small wing. I'm inclined to believe it because I've seen it a lot, first of all. I would love to see it on a window sticker, just to prove it once and for all. But I've seen it a lot, written in articles and reviews. But before I started to make this video, I wanted to try to find just something in writing to prove it. What I did find, however, was a really old thread on Evo M, where somebody posted that they had just bought their Evo and they chose to go with the small wing, even though the larger wing was an option. Obviously, they could be lying, but I don't know why somebody would lie about such a thing. So I'm inclined to say that yes, there was in fact the large wing as an option. I don't think many were ordered this way. Like I said, I've never seen it, but supposedly it does exist. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, like with the small wing, but people do weird things with Evo, so I never put too much stock in that. I've never seen it in actual Mitsubishi documentation, but I am inclined to believe it. The second option was actually in here, in the car, and that was you could get a moonroof or a sunroof. Again, I have not been able to find documentation on this yet, but in my research of just Evos in general, I've seen plenty of 03s with sunroofs and without, that I know it is in fact a factory option. So if you're hunting for an 03 Evo, know that it could have a small wing as the original equipment, and it could have a sunroof, moonroof, whatever. Now let's talk about a couple small things that the Evo had in 03 that you never saw again in the US. So if you're unfamiliar with Evos or turboed cars, you may not realize, but this is not a radiator. This is actually the front mount intercooler. Standard equipment on the 03 Evo 8s was actually an intercooler sprayer. So it would spray water on the intercooler, the idea being that it would cool it down. I'm sure there's some validity to that statement in like rally racing, but in general real world life, I don't think it made much of a difference. But the way you know that it has it is, obviously my cup holders are gonna look different, but it would be a little button down here. While we're here talking about the cup holders, let's mention that the 03 Evo 8 cup holders, they're actually smaller. So in Japan, and I think a lot of parts of the world, the cup holders are smaller than they are in their US counterparts. However, again, rush job, Mitsubishi just left them the way they are. So if you get an 03 Evo 8, like, it doesn't fit anything. They're useless. So keep that in mind. Your cup holders are going to be smaller. And that could actually be a big reason why we didn't get the intercooler sprayer going forward, because you'll notice with the larger cup holders, there's really no room for the button. So Mitsubishi was like, well, should we relocate the button, or we'll just get rid of all that, save some money, and give them a slightly larger cup holder? That's probably what they chose. I don't know that for a fact, but I suspect that is the reason. Something else that is actually good about the 03 Evo 8s, and that is the headlights. They're HIDs. You know, manufacturers, generally speaking, they want to make money. That's their goal. And one of the ways they do that is by options. Well, as I mentioned, there's not a lot of options. This was a rush job for Mitsubishi. So HIDs actually were standard. It isn't until later that they become an option. So all 2003 Evo 8s have HIDs. If you run across one that doesn't, let me know, but I suspect it is somebody who has altered them. That mostly covers the 2003 Evo 8s. All right, that's gonna wrap up the 2003 Evo 8s. As you can probably guess, the next video, we're gonna do the 2004 Evo 8s, which Mitsubishi starts to get their act together so that they can make money, make options, different trims are available. A lot of stuff starts to happen in 04. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe if you wanna see that stuff. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, I'm going to pin a comment so that, you know, if anything comes up. However, any of you out there, whether you're in the US or abroad, that has like Mitsubishi documentation, PDFs, window stickers, service manuals, the manual of the car, whatever, I would love any information you can get. We can work out something, Dropbox, Google Drive, WeTransfer, I don't know, whatever. But I want to make these videos as accurate as possible, especially those of you abroad. You know, I do want to do Evos 1 through 7 in later videos. So if you guys have that information that I can gather, because I'm not going to do a video based on guesses and speculation. There's enough of that nonsense out there, and I don't want to do any more of it.
Focus, I could be hopeless instead.
All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to follow along. Oh, and there's the pups, Lotus and Enzo.
You're one and only.
Yo.